Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. I'm Ananda Dwi Putri and I'm from electrical engineering. So today I'd like to share my opinion about the video NUDC 2021 exhibition day debate. The first question is, what do you think about the overall competition? How are the arguments and the rebuttals? In my opinion, the competition goes well, but the opening team doesn't necessarily deliver their arguments in a proper way. I mean, they just mention about the marriage life in a nuclear family and how they can stand out with their marriage life. It's all about the economic life and the privilege in becoming nuclear family in last generation. The opening theme show us about the problematic marriage life and how it can affect their children to becoming an educated child when they don't have a complete parents. Not only that, the opening theme also explaining about when the Gen Z or individual not married, they can enjoy their life, which is not uh, necessarily in this debate. The opening opposition just go with the repetition arguments. For example, the word of support. When the first speaker spoke, he just speak about all of the support. I don't really understand because all he did just mentioning about Gen Z have a support from their family. This indicates that the opening opposition not well enough to delivering their arguments, and also when the closing team start no no when the closing team start their arguments, I love their speech because the first closing government speak about his arguments, he explained about the nuclear family in general, which is good for their team because not everyone knows about the nuclear family. The second question is, which team do you like the most and why? Personally, I like the closing government team because they can deliver their arguments in a clearly way. They don't only speak about marriage life when becoming nuclear family, but also they speak about nuclear family in general and prove the arguments for the opening opposition team. For example, when the opening opposition team mentioned about 1940s family when they have a nuclear family in a lower economic or we call poor life, but the closing government proved that 1940s family they didn't add the educational fee or yes the educational fee, which we know that nowadays educational fee is really expensive. This also one of the factor why the Gen Z wants to have a child free or they don't want to have a child. Not only that, they also mention about opening government didn't give a clear context in this debate because they only framing in a marriage life and having a privilege. They didn't show us proof about Gen Z point of view about nuclear family in general or stuff like that. Question number 3 is, which speaker do you like the most and why? Personally, I like the first speaker of closing government because he can deliver his arguments in a clear context. Not only that, he didn't show us about the repetition arguments which are mentioned in opening theme. Despite showing us about the repetition arguments, he comments the opening government team which didn't give a clear context about their arguments. And also, he give the advice or development arguments for opening team. Question number 4 is which team should win? As I said before, I like the closing government team. They're a solid team. Both of them speak clearly and properly, which I didn't see in other team. Not only that, they can prove their arguments, which a good example when other teams are only focusing in their arguments. The closing government team also focusing about giving a proof in other arguments, which I've mentioned in a previous answer. Question number 5, the last but not the least, which speaker should be the best one? At the first, my choice goes with second speaker in opening government, because he can expansion the arguments of the first speaker. But the weakness about him is he can't prove the arguments of the first opening opposition. This led me to seek another speaker. As time goes, when the first speaker of closing team start delivering his speech, I personally like how he can speak clearly and in a context of the debate. So I think that's all from me for my opinion about the videos about NUDC 2021 exhibition debate. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.